Welcome back to Plot to Go. Why do I always say number episode? I'm doing that again.
Can we keep that bit in? That's funny.
What?
The fumble.
Well, I guess this is all staying in. Welcome back to episode
26.
Yep.
I think.
It is a Plot to Go.
Yep.
Disclaimer. Big disclaimer. Today's the hottest day Scotland's maybe ever seen ever. It's boiling. It's the end of the day. It's like 11 o'clock at night and we are still in the 20s, like degree wise.
We could be sitting out right now.
I did ponder that, but like,
Ooh, yeah, just people walking by.
yeah.
Hearing.
We also have a studio light, which is like, if you never use them, they're so
They're
hot.
so bright as well when your eyes are like now wanting darkness.
Yep. And then we had a fan that we had to turn off because it would get picked up by the mics. So this is gonna be a fun episode that might include a lot of delirium, but and also I think we're just fucking tired.
Yeah, there might be like sleep deprived stupidity.
So get ready, buckle in, because we're talking about it 20 years later, or I am. Because...
Also, we're sponsored by Coca-Cola now.
Oh, stop this. Coke, if you want to sponsor me, us, just me.
Just you. The fuck,
Would
man?
you wear Coke
Well,
branded
I'm gonna get branded with
merchandise?
Pepsi now.
Oh, that'd be fun. Coke v Pepsi episode.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm talking about 20 years later, because I saw that one didn't. And bitch.
Alright.
And then we're both talking about Pixar's Elio, which should be a fun discussion. What should we start with, Owen?
You get 28 years later out of the way,
Okay.
and then we'll ramble.
Okie dokie. 28 years later, if you didn't know, is yet another Legacy sequel. Get hyped! Honestly, it's weird. I don't view this as bad as the other like Legacy sequels that have came out. I feel like Legacy sequels get a bad rap.
It feels like more like there was maybe a reason to revisit this one.
Yes.
I reckon Danny Boyle wouldn't just chill out and just go do a sequel.
No, I think there's a reason, and also because there's so many sequels. If you didn't know, this is a part of a planned trilogy of movies.
That puts it in like a different perspective.
Oh,
in
do you
my
think?
brain. Yeah.
I feel like, you've done that because there's a story to tell. Who knows? There's certainly seeds of that in this movie. If you're unaware, 28 Years Later is the continuation of a franchise that started in 2002, directed by Danny Boyle and written by Alex Garland, who Danny Boyle you'll know from like this franchise or Train Spotting. I feel like is what he gets most known for. Or he also did Slumdog Millionaire, yeah?
Did he?
Am I making that up? I might be. No, he did. Cool.
You were quick on that?
Yeah. And Alex Garland he has written so many projects and then directed some of his own like Ex Machina and stuff. They've teamed up once again in this franchise. We've had 28 days, 28 weeks, and now this. 28 weeks was a departure. Somebody else took on that movie. And it's a return to form with the pair of them teaming back up for this.
Wait, 28 Weeks isn't Danny Boyle?
No, it's not.
Huh.
It's a completely different person. And it's felt. But it's still in line with the franchise. It's really odd.
Yeah, just for viewers, I've seen the first one that I watched about a month ago for the first time, and I have not seen either sequels now.
And I saw all three this week. This was not like a franchise that
Yeah.
I loved. I'm not a big horror person, but weirdly, I don't know why, I didn't ever view these as like horror. Even though
they're not
are
supposed to be that, I don't think.
I feel like, I don't know, zombie movies are like okay. I'm like okay with that.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's less like psychological. I feel like stuff that plays in your brain more is like,
Yeah, the branding for this is all like red and black, and it's like, oh, it's 20 years later, and there's zombies, but like, I don't think any of the films are like, this is scary.
That's what's really interesting. That's what I find interesting about the franchise, and that all three of them are like, here's a world, here's zombies, but we're telling a deeply human story inside of this world.
I stand corrected just because I think the opening scene of 28 Days Later is kind of terrifying.
The opening scene of all of the movies is terrifying.
Oh, okay, cool.
That's a staple of the franchise.
Awesome.
A lot of people as well didn't know this. A lot of people say that the opening to 28 Weeks is like one of the best openings of a movie. I don't know if I'd go that far. Very good scene though. This movie, shocker, that picks up 28 years later. If I'm not going to spoil those other movies, but a rage virus has taken over the UK. That is the plot of the first movie, and it has spread. It has turned people basically into zombies, and that first movie is kind of the short aftermath of how the UK dealt with the infection. 28 weeks. The plot of that, if you've seen it, is because I don't want to spoil it for you.
I think I vaguely know what maybe goes.
People return back to the UK because it's deemed safe.
I did not know this.
Well,
that's very interesting.
Vague plot. I mean, that's not spoiling really anything for you. People return back to the UK. They think it's safe. Take a wild guess where that one goes. And then 28 years, which I find really fascinating. Same with 28 weeks. It starts off with this, like, here's what happened. The nice thing about 28 weeks is it gives you a, like, real, like, precise breakdown of, like, every 4 weeks what happened to 28 weeks.
Yeah.
This one is like, rage virus took over the UK. People tried to come back. The end of 28 weeks, whatever that ending is, quickly retroactively undo what that did.
Interesting.
In this, which is hilarious. And then they center it back on the UK is in quarantine. Nobody goes near the UK. Anybody that's left on that island has to fend for themselves. So it's kind of interesting because it's so long, like so far removed from the initial outbreak. You can watch this just as its own thing. As an apocalypse happened in the UK, they are isolated from every other country, and they're left to fend for themselves. And you can kind of imagine the tropes and shit that plays out in an apocalyptic, like, tribal warfare and all this stuff. That's what this movie's dealing with. This movie primarily takes place or follows a small group who live on Holy Island. They have managed to create a fortress there and a community that is separated from the infected. If you don't know what Holy Island is, it's a place in the UK off the coast of mainland England. I think England. Where the tide comes in and out. And when the tide is out, there's no way to get to that island. It's completely, like, it's all water surrounding it. You can't get there. And when the tide is in, there's a small driveway, that allows you to cross back into the mainland. And we pick up with our main character, Spike, who is a 12-year-old kid who has been living on this island, has obviously been born into this apocalyptic world, and he is being taken on a hunt, his first hunt with his dad in mainland UK. A lot of the people on the island are disapproving of this. They think that he has to wait a little longer to be a little older to go and hunt down infected, but his dad is adamant that he needs to go out and get his first kill and that kind of stuff. Oddly enough, this is being promoted as the Aaron Taylor Johnson, Jodie Comer, Ralph Fiennes vehicle. They're 3 acts of this movie, and Alfie Williams, who plays the kid in this movie, is the main character. You're following him. Anybody who's maybe seen the first 2 in the franchise, maybe you have alarm bells ringing because you also follow child actors in those first 2 movies, in part, and they're not particularly good in either of those movies. Hats off to this kid. Fuck me, is he incredible. Seriously incredible. Where the film ends up, we'll be following him more, I'm assuming. I don't know. And I would watch a franchise with him leading. I'm so set on seeing more of his character and stuff. He does so well here. But the first act is kind of like this act with that Aaron Taylor Johnson, where it's just good world building. You've set up this island, his relationship dynamics with Aaron Taylor Johnson, who's his dad, and Jodie Comer, who's his mum. His mum is in bed, and you're not quite sure what's up with her. she seems to be having episodes and she's not thinking right and stuff. And she's being looked after by people coming in and out.
Going.
Not where you think.
Oh, okay.
At all. Or maybe it is. And Aaron Taylor Johnson is more this like rough and gruff?
Sure,
Gruff.
The Gruffalo.
He's a rough and gruffalo dad who's like trying to harden his kid. Which is really weird because I think initially you kind of think his character is this like quite stoic, like masculine man who's like, oh, my son has to do things this way or like no way at all. But the world that they've actually grown up in, it feels like you can sympathize with why his dad's being like this, because when they get to the mainland, you know, put one foot wrong and like somebody's killed and infected. So I find the relationship dynamic between all of them really, really fascinating. Alongside that kind of world and those like interpersonal relations, you're also developing like the world of the UK and how that's evolved over time. Really fascinating. You get classic video gamey trope. Infected are no longer just infected because they've been around so long. They've evolved differently.
Cool.
Can't remember the names that they call any of them. You've got the real slow ones that are like, oh, Spike, you can kill these ones easy because they're slow and fat. And then you have the runners, like the normal kind of infected, and you have the new alphas.
Great. Love that naming convention.
It pays off. I didn't think that would pay off in a way, but it paid off weirdly. Who are, like, they've kept their intelligence. It is very much, if you've seen The Last of Us, you've got your
smart ones.
The stalkers. It's very much stalkery vibes that are like, yeah. Oh, I guess I won't say too much. So you have this like first act with Aaron Taylor Johnson that goes somewhere, and then you have the second act with Jodie Comer. Because I was like, it's really odd for Jodie Comer to get like such a big named, like to be promoted with this movie and not be in it all that much.
Yeah.
She firmly takes this like second act with him. Or even longer, to be honest, part of the movie. And their relationship dynamic is so interesting. I can't really say much without spoiling where that goes, but I think what these movies have been great about is being like, as I was saying, doing like a personal human story inside of this like zombie apocalyptic world. My God, the story between her and her son is gorgeous. I've seen multiple reviews of people being like, oh, what? I cried at this. I sobbed. I really was sobbing. Oh my goodness. Just a beautiful, again, not spoiling where this goes, but a beautiful way that their story kind of wraps up and stuff. And then you have Ralph Fiennes, who is built up in this movie to be a certain type of character, and they kind of turn that on its head and put him in every movie.
Oh, he's great.
He's so good. If I'm wrong, he is Voldemort, yeah?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, okay. You expect him to be really sinister in this. There's a lot of lead up. I think it's maybe obvious that they've gotten some stuff about him wrong in this movie. Because you're like, well, no, this is way too obvious to be this thing. But when you meet him, you do expect this like Voldemort-y, like, oh, he's good at playing evil. Plays the character very differently, and I'm very, very happy with that. Yeah, this movie, all in all, is just like super touching. It's a touching, like, empathetic story about. It's in part about the apocalypse, but honestly, it's just about like human relations and like parental love.
Yeah, I got from the trailer and the one clip that I saw of it in the cinema that there was going to be a very strong father-son dynamic. Also seems like presumably there's a strong mother-son dynamic in this film too.
Yeah, both. And how each of those dynamics evolve. Fascinating. And I think adds a lot of depth to Spike's character. And I honestly, I was like lukewarm in it at the start. I think because it feels a little tired on like, we're expanding a world and because you're restarting these time periods over and over, and this one is the largest gap, it really feels like they have to place set a little bit more with this. I think that does err on the side of like just being a little lengthy. I wasn't super into it. But when it switches up and becomes this more emotional story, I was fully in. Until the final scene. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but I do have to say this because I think it is a large criticism of like the movie for me. I wish it just ended as this complete piece.
They do like a cliffhanger? Is it epilogue or something?
Kind of. There's a start and a beginning that connect together.
Right.
And I kind of wish that neither of them were there. The start is, as I was saying to you, like all of them have that like horrifying start. We get another one of those in this, and I don't think it's not a good opening to the movie, in my opinion. I think it's a little rough. I think there's some quite poor child acting in that as well. And then that comes around at the end, and it feels like a post-credit scene, but it's in the movie. And it is part of the conclusion to the movie, and I just wish they'd found another way of doing it.
I'm so interested to know what this is.
Yeah. I also, if you've seen the scene, I think it's tonally just really... It's more so that it's the inclusion of it, but it's also the tonal whiplash of like this really emotional, cathartic ending that they gave. And then they like switch it up. It's really bizarre. Also, should point out, the music in this is good. But if you're a fan of the music from the first two movies, this iconic score from these movies, like you'll recognize the theme. It's not really in here. It's in here a little bit. They switch up the music. It is a different vibe. I liked it, but it feels a little distant from what the franchise used to be. Very cool thing about this movie, if you didn't know, is that it was completely shot using iPhones.
Which is mental.
It is absolutely mental. I was sitting there at points being like, how did you get that gorgeous of a shot? I was also sitting in points going, that's an iPhone.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wonder why they've done that. I wonder if it's them trying to keep with the home video type thing of the original. They are shot with iPhones, but with like a million attachments as well.
Oh yeah. Have you seen the behind the scenes image that was really... There is a zombie running, and there's like a whole grid of iPhones, like all around him.
See, that makes so much sense, because the one clip I saw, which I don't know if I spoke about it at the time, when it's when they get to the mainland and they go into like the first home, presumably they go into, and there's that like arrow shot that spins around. Yeah.
All the kills most of the kills are like that.
Video gamey. Yeah,
so like whenever it's basically bows and arrows for the majority of the film. Whenever they shoot it, when the arrow goes through an infected, it like... Has anybody seen The Cube? Do you know when like somebody would win a game in The Cube and it would like tilt round? It's like that.
Yeah. Cool. I'm assuming it would get kind of annoying, like seeing that over and over again.
It's stylistic. It didn't really bother me.
I think it's really interesting knowing that they're using bow and arrows because they just run out of bullets probably. Or can't be bothered going and finding them at all like the other points in the UK. Well,
yeah, they've been completely abandoned.
Yeah.
So, and then you're also following people from an island. Yeah. So they're making do with what they have. Yeah. It is impressive to sit there and be like, wow, this was shot on an iPhone. The parts where you can tell are the parts that if you've ever used an iPhone camera, it struggles with.
Yeah, low light.
Low light, backlighting.
Oh.
So like that scene actually when they open the door to the house, it's shot and then they're walking through the door, but there's white light coming through them, and it's not visually appealing to look at. Still, very, very impressive that these were shot on iPhones, and I do like that it stayed consistent with this the look of the franchise all the way through.
Is the second one also like that? Like kind of grainy, digital?
The second one's, yes, it's not as extreme as the first one.
The
That's
first one's
insane. But I would honestly say more of a staple is in all three of them. The editing is frenetic. It's insane. Really interesting editing in this as well. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of editing with archival footage, and like parallels to Britain, like long before, which I was sitting there like, this is really odd. A lot of audio cues as well from like old recordings that I'm not particularly sure why it was used, but I did enjoy the vibe it was creating.
I'm so interested to see this film.
Fascinating movie, genuinely.
It sounds like a real, like, actually creative project.
Yes.
And not like they've just come back to do a sequel for money, which is cool.
Yeah. If I am to make a slight comment about this movie, is I think that it doesn't necessarily come together as a whole.
Because that's the first part of a trilogy.
If you remove the prologue and the epilogue, as I'm calling them,
yeah,
absolutely works fine as a like cohesive whole.
Yeah.
I do think that it's, as I'm able to tell you, Aaron Taylor Johnson is the first part, Jodie Comer's the second, Ray Fiennes the third. I think you feel that, like this like
chapters,
disjointedness to it. It is chapters, but it feels slightly disjointed in places. Like it doesn't fully come together. I do appreciate it though. It just, I think you have to like have your brain switched on to the fact that it is going to just switch up like each time. Didn't expect to be really emotionally moved by it though. That was a really welcome surprise.
Awesome. Good
when you got good actors as well. Everybody gives great performances. There's not a single person that's like, not packing it in. Is that an expression?
Phone it in.
There we go. Packing it in. Yeah, so would recommend. Would love to know what you thought if you've seen 28 Years Later. Owen. This is one that you'll see.
Yeah, I think this is one I do want to go see.
Yeah.
I just have to get I know I'd love to see the second one, but I'd rather just watch them in the order they came out.
Oh my god, and you've got Jeremy Renner to look forward to, so...
I don't love Jeremy Renner.
I think he's fine.
Like, he's
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know who's great in it? Rose Bryan? Is that how you pronounce her name?
Let me look it up.
Like, she's in so many comedy movies. I would know her more from comedies. Like, Neighbours. She's...
Neighbours.
Not Neighbours, the Australian show Neighbours, the movie. Is it called Bad Neighbours here?
Surely it's like Byron.
Is it called Neighbours?
Or
Byron?
Byrne. Byron.
Byron. Rose Byron.
Yeah, she's in Neighbours.
Yeah.
She's in the first...
Yeah.
I haven't seen the first one in so long.
No, and also it's a bad tool. She's great in this, in 28 Weeks Later. Like her. There's a great cast in all of these movies.
She's in Attack of the Clones.
Oh god, as who?
I don't know.
I know her mainly from comedies. I think she's primarily a comedy actress. Who is she in?
Oh, she hangs around all the political stuff with Jar Jar.
Oh, lovely.
And,
memorable stuff, yeah.
I'll show you this image. She's just in the background.
Oh my god, she's fully just a background character. Okay.
Yeah.
Fun.
I mean, maybe she has lines, but I don't remember it.
Bring her back. Star Wars.
Yeah, give her a
cowards.
Her and Shit Gluppo.
Yep.
I don't know what the main character is. I think it is like Shit
Glop Shitto.
It might be Glup Shitto. That's it. I think it's Glup Shitto.
Yeah. You just dyslexia'd it. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, speaking of dyslexia, let's move on. I don't know how that transitions.
Yeah, I don't think it does. I think children just struggle with dyslexia, and
there
we're
you go.
jumping to an animated film with a child.
Look at you go.
We're going to Elio. Am I saying his name right? Elio.
Dyslexia. You really followed through on that.
I'm tired.
Yeah.
The latest installment from Pixar. The byline here reads, "They asked for our leader. They got him."
Incredible.
Yeah. This film picks up with our star Elio, very upset under a table.
We've all been there.
We've all been there. Playing with his shoes while his aunt is just like trying to communicate with him. And you kind of quickly learn that his parents have passed away. I don't think we get any details on that. I think that's just left.
That's also, I feel like, genius.
Yeah, because
Pixar's point of view of like
could be anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he kind of runs off, and then finds out about the Voyager mission, which was like sending. It's like a satellite essentially in space that broadcast a bunch of information about Earth. So hopefully one day aliens would find it, and then try and communicate with us or come find us or whatever. And a lot of this film, I think more than I expected, is him trying to just communicate with aliens.
I loved how long it was. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you expect it to be quite quick, but it is like a substantial part of like the first act. Obviously, Mr. Elio finds the aliens.
No.
Plot twist. And then it becomes this whole situation where he is like a diplomat for Earth and is the leader of Earth and is trying to protect these people that he's met. What are they called? The
place that you
the
go
Communiverse. Yeah. This group of people that are kind of under threat by this big bad, and that is essentially the plot of the movie, with your usual Pixar-y emotional moments and ties between
I love it.
family and found family and all of that jazz, etc. I think the relationship with him and his aunt is such a slow burn, but it like pays off so well by the end of the film. I think I've seen the trailer for this once, so I'm not sure how much is in the trailer, but his like alien buddy, Glordon, I believe, and his relationship with Elio and also his father is very moving in this film too.
I agree.
Don't want to spoil anything about where this film goes though. So, thoughts?
I love this. If I'm being honest, if this came out when I was a child, I'd be absolutely obsessed. I think if this came out when I was a teenager, I probably would have been absolutely obsessed with this. As a kid who had like stars all over their room, like glow up stars.
Yeah.
I was fucking obsessed with space. Has a degree in physics because I fucking love this shit. Also felt personal moment. Also felt kind of alone as a kid in pockets. This just would have spoke to me, and it did speak to me. I'm saying as if this didn't emotionally move me. I just from like a perspective of I can see child me adoring this, whereas like a little bit more grown up me, I think this is the genius thing about Pixar movies, is that you can watch this, relate to the character that's like the child character. Not to say I don't want to say that relate to the child character if you were a child, or like look back at like your life, because I honestly think there'll be adults who relate to this child character as well, so that's not to say that, but I think what's powerful about this is you can look at the child character, you can look at his alien friend, you can look at his aunt, and you can relate and see bits and bobs from all of them. I thought this was just an absolutely touching story on loneliness and feeling out of place in the world, and finding people who are not giving up and trying to find people who understand you, and that there are people out there who will. I was so touched by this. I cried twice. I cried a lot today.
It got me a little bit as well.
Good sign of a good Pixar movie. I genuinely, you can say whatever you want about this being like tropey story. Like, sure, the big bad is gonna learn to. Not gonna spoil it. Sorry, the big bad is gonna do something to something. If you watch the movie, if you've seen it, like, I don't think that's surprising where the movie ends up. However, I think thematically, the way it was written as well, like what I found beautiful was these interstitials of like space recordings of like
This Carl Sagan. I don't think you're talking about these ones. You're talking about the space recordings on the Voyager. Yeah.
no, the little bit how the movie ends as well.
That is Carl Sagan, right?
It is.
No. It sounds... I thought it sounded like him, but I think it was implied that it was what was on the Voyager? Or no?
I don't know. No. I'm a little confused. There's multiple moments where they use
like old recordings.
archival footage, archival sounds, and I just thought how that like interwove to the idea of like space and space being this awfully lonely place, and like how that thematically ties back to Elio and the way he's feeling and discovering people, but in space, and how that came together at the end. I thought was so lovely.
Yeah, this film really came together in the final act for me.
Yeah.
I thought this was good. I didn't think it was like great or anything.
Okay.
I think it's not one where they phoned it in, but I also don't think it's like a return to form for Pixar or whatever. I think it's just good. We were talking about the film being really funny. I think a lot of the jokes didn't land for me. I found it funny. I heard you and Samuel laughing at just like characters as they spoke, and I was like, I don't find these bits funny. There was really good like actual jokes in the film, I think. Bit towards the end with like, that was a bit like horror-y. That was really funny. Mm-hmm. The reason I say it comes together for me in the third act is where I think all of the relationships really get a focus towards the end of the film, because they lay all the groundwork in the sort of like first and second act to get to that point.
You get payoff from
but in those moments I am going to be the person that is like, it is kind of tropey, and I don't think the film does anything particularly new. I think the highlight is in what you said, where it does those tropey things but it does it in an interesting way, but all of that for me is towards the end of the film.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I found this fucking hilarious. The jokes are funny to me. The way that they characterize... I honestly... Every single Pixar movie that I see, I'm like, this is a step up in their animation. This is a step up in their animation.
I also feel differently about that.
Oh, God, okay. I think they're... I always think it's a showcase when they're like, just how can we get more water scenes into this movie? And then when you see those water scenes, you're like, this is unbelievable. Like, your journey of water scenes from Toy Story through now is crazy. I always love using that as like a baseline. Yeah. But specifically when it comes to animation, the reason I think I found it so funny is I thought their character models and the way that they were able to incorporate physical comedy into this was genius. There was like, specifically Elio as a character, I think is really personable. I think you get such a sense for who he is very quickly in the way that he moves, in the way that like he holds himself, his facial expressions. It's very seldom do I talk about like an animated character and their like physical persona being something I enjoyed.
It's because the way in this he moves in this film is kind of important when you compare him to the way somebody else moves in this film.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. And I think that's where it becomes really like noticeable.
Yeah. Even prior to that though, like I find like his comedy, like the way he conducts himself, like quite funny. Obviously you just have incredible comedy from the plethora of British accents that are on board. The what did you call it? The self-composium? I can't remember the name of it.
The Communiverse.
Communiverse, of course. There's one character that I think me and Samuel laughed at every single one of his lines. Don't know what his name is, but he has like a little cocktail in his hand. He's like, oh no.
Is this just the block thing?
Oh no.
Oh no, you're talking about, that's like the grandmother-y kind of alien character.
Grandmother? No, it was a man. Ambassador Helix, I think might be his name. He has a little drink in his hand the entire time. He's the one that goes, "Oh, you've lost your drink. Let me fill that up for you."
Oh, that one. I feel like he wasn't in that movie that much.
Oh, let me see. Just to make sure it is.
No, I think it's the right guy, but I feel like he's more like in the beginning than towards the end. Unless he was like one of those characters that just has lines that while other people are speaking.
No, that's not who I'm talking about. Oh no, Owen. I don't know what his name would be.
Anyway, there's funny characters.
Truly. And I think they all had some sort of like... I just love the way the animation was utilised in like physical comedy, because I really don't think that's like a common thing to notice.
In animated films?
Yeah, like...
I feel like that's quite a popular thing in animated films. Because they can do that so much.
But like... Oh, okay, no, very fair. But like in a human sense still. Like their humanity was coming through.
Uh-huh.
But like it was like funny in a human way, not in a outlandishly animated way, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
like
I think it does.
Face stuff, like...
Yeah, I think 3D animation lends itself to that. Because in 2D you can do the whole thing where like a character abnormally stretches and things, but in 3D that just looks fucking wild. So maybe that's why...
I love Fantastic Four.
Maybe that's why it lends itself so much to that.
Yeah.
The animation... I'm so like, every time I get to a Pixar film, I'm so like kind of fatigued with the animation, because we got Spider-Verse and it pushed the boundaries so much, and because I haven't seen Soul, I don't think I've experienced Pixar pushing itself. I think it's fallen into a space where it kind of just reiterates on what it already has, and so there was a point in time where between a lot of Pixar films, especially Toy Story 3 and Toy Story 4, you can see that they had such a major focus on like lighting. And so when you get to Toy Story 4, there's such beautiful... They do a lot of dark in Toy Story 4, like nighttime stuff. And it looks incredible because it's the lighting that you've noticed has changed so much. I think you're right. I think water they really have down. There was nothing in this that made me spot the water being like, oh my god, compared to other films.
Really?
Yeah. Definitely. What I noticed was the sand. The grains of sand. When he's like carving things into the ground were quite... I wouldn't say realistic, because it's still like that 3D animation, but they're so granular that you could like almost feel it. There's a shot of him on the beach where you can see clouds. And the clouds, I was like, oh my god, those look like real clouds.
Yeah.
And they fly through those at some point too. And that stood out to me. The one major thing, I think... So this is what I mean, is like, I still think a lot of Pixar stuff looks Pixar-y, but it's...
They have a style.
Yeah, they have a style.
Yeah.
But when every new film, it doesn't... I don't think it looks so far off from the previous one. They just iterate on like tiny things. The last one being, there's like a kind of hazmat suit, and I don't know how to explain it. These studios have had like cloth dynamics down on clothes that like the animated characters wear for so long. I think they figured out how to do like a t-shirt, but like this hazmat suit, you can tell it's a different material in the film because of the little like dinks and crinkles that it has in it.
Is it someone wearing it and it's like open zipper with like something underneath?
No, it's like someone wearing it zipped up, and you can see all of the material has like that kind of like creasing in it. And I think it was at that moment that I was like, oh, they've really put a work in on those aspects of the animation. And I think you're right. I think some of the, not the details of the animation, but the actual somebody dragging the character model and making the move or doing the motion capture was very real, and I think it's noticeable because of reasons in the film.
I also think that like there's maybe a higher standard that's put on Pixar, because this, compared to most animated movies, I think looks leagues above it. You have your Spider-Verses and your like I don't know, the Wild Robot. Like, they're just different styles, though. I think when you look at other 3D animated projects like this, that aren't from studios like this is just far and away better.
It depends what you mean by most, because if you're talking most major releases, I disagree.
What major releases do you think looks better than this?
You just named a ton of major releases.
But like that, no. But like that's stylistic. I'm talking about this like 3D model animate the Pixar house style that's kind of tried to be replicated across the board. Like,
and I think companies caught up. I think DreamWorks caught up to Pixar. Definitely. I don't think it's negotiable.
No, I absolutely disagree. Kung Fu Panda 4 looks nowhere near as good as this.
I think Puss in Boots and probably How to Train Your Dragon 3 even.
Puss in Boots as in The Last Wish.
Yeah.
Complete stylistic. Like, that's completely different.
What you wouldn't say this is stylistic.
No, but this is
style.
No, this is the house style of Pixar. Kind of like what you're saying. There's variations in it, but like Turning Red, this, Onward, Luca.
Mm-hmm.
There's variations across all of them. However, vaguely similar 3D animated Pixar house style. Yeah.
So, but you're narrowing down the parameters to a film that has to look like Pixar house style, but also does it the same as Pixar.
No. I'm saying that like a lot of like animated 3D animated movies that came out have kind of co-opted this style of like animation specifically.
I don't think you should be allowed to go like, oh, they can't do this style.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that Pixar are doing it better.
Just animation.
No, specifically this house style.
Well, that's wonderful, but that's their style. That's like me going, oh, Spider-Verse does the Spider-Verse style better.
And I would say that, yeah. There's been so many other...
But the point is that I don't think they're leagues ahead in animation in general. That's not something that I believe.
But that's like comparing apples to oranges. Like stylistically. Like Spider-Verse, for example, that has tried to be replicated. But like TMNT, Mutant Mayhem, and there was another Spider-Verse-y movie that is not going to come to me. But like that's tried to be copied and to varying degrees of success, but nothing has come close to like that style that studio, that Sony Animation has like.
The thing is, I think you're talking style and I'm talking like challenge.
What do you mean by challenge?
Because you're talking about Pixar having a house style, and I
vaguely
think,
like Elemental,
which I agree with. Yeah, I think Elemental's probably the furthest out that they've had in recent years. But I don't think they necessarily want to try and go outside of that.
But they have Elemental, and then this new one that's just been announced as well.
Like one time, but it's not that far outside of it.
Outside of their house, but what's wrong with that?
That I don't think they push themselves as much as other companies have, and that's why they have animation styles that are kind of more interesting, more updated.
Because other companies have just went, but then you're comparing styles. Then at that point, you're saying that and I agree with this. What I'm about to say, but you're saying that the Spider-Verse style is more interesting than this.
I think it's more novel and refreshing.
Sure. But then if we were living in a world where everybody had done the Spider-Verse style and then we
they
get
did this, which we did in like the 90s. There was 2D into 3D, and they did this.
Exactly, yeah.
And I think they're comfortable. And I think when I talk about their animation not being more impressive, it's because they have the style that they've got down, and it's the smaller details that they keep iterating on.
But I think that's cool.
That's wonderful, but I don't think it never wows me, and that's what I'm saying.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because it can't, because it looks too similar to the last one. If they took 10 years between each film, and there was this incredible update, I'd be like, oh my god. But if there's a new Pixar film every year or two, it's incremental, and I don't find it impressive.
Wow. You want big leaps. Fair enough. I do find the small increments really
That's not to take away from any animators.
Yeah, there you go. Animators attack him.
That's not to...
I think your work shit.
It's all comparative, because animation I think is impressive anyway because it's something I'm interested in, especially like visual effects, obviously. But when it comes year to year, and I do find it so similar, it's not something that shocks me. Put it that way.
God, I love looking for the little bits that I think they've improved on. Like I remember the leap from Toy Story 3 to Toy Story 4,
which is 9 years.
Yes, but like the way that lighting hits the characters and the more so the texture of how different toys interact with the light.
Yeah.
So like how Bo Peep
porcelain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Compared to like the plasticky of Buzz and.
I think that's a very good example of a jump, which is funny because not only do I think that's a jump within the same franchise, I don't remember what came out before Toy Story 4. I feel like that could have been a jump, even though it was only a couple of years between.
Sorry, what's the question between what and what?
What's the last Pixar film that came out before Toy Story 4?
Coco off the top of my head, but that might be wrong.
See, that film, I say it was Coco.
I can get you it if you hold on a second. It was Incredibles 2. It was then Coco. Fuck.
That's really funny.
Off by one.
I think, off the top of my head, I think the lighting in Incredibles 2 was good, but I think it's really noticeable in Toy Story 4.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'll give that leap to them.
But I find this so. I think there has been a leap personally. When I look at something like Luca to this, vaguely similar styles. Again, the water. I was astounded when there's a moment in the movie that Elio gets chucked into the water and he's like struggling to like breathe and stuff, and he swims up to the top and he swims out to the sand, kind of what you were saying there as well, where he like lays in the sand and the sand's all like grainy on him and stuff. Really cool. But like that whole water sequence, the way that the waves were interacting, and then also the moment when he's standing near that beach, and I think it might be raining, and there's like rain droplets on his face, and the way that water is interacting with his like body and like clothes, I was astounded by that stuff compared to something like Luca.
I think the water in Luca was very good.
It's not to say it's not.
Yeah, I know. Also, Luca's like, that place is very calm water, and in this film, it's very. What's the word for it? Aggressive water. I feel like that's comparing apples to oranges.
Oh no.
Absolutely.
Okay, do you know what? I think we're on the same page with this. It's just that I find it impressive and you don't.
Maybe.
Because I do think we both agree that actually Elio I think was supposed to come out last year.
Mm-hmm.
And Inside Out 2 took its spot. I think, don't quote me on this, but I think production wise this was finished before Inside Out 2. I think when you look at Inside Out 2, I think there is a more dramatic leap in animation. Like that looks better than this, I think.
Inside Out 2?
Yes. And also, they made a show that came out earlier this year that had been in development for ages. I think since the like Disney Plus Investor Day, which was 2020. That is gorgeous, and that is its own thing. It's film grain. It's in their like Pixar house style, but it's also a departure, which I think you could all say about like Turning Red or like Luca. Like there's slight variations on it.
Do you think Inside Out 2 looks better than this?
I think so.
Because I feel like because this film
it does
has so much difference in between scenes, it
Sure.
gets to show off how good it looks, and I don't know if Inside Out 2 does that.
I'm specifically thinking what I thought there was the ice skating scene at the end.
Mm-hmm.
How gorgeous that is, like the slow motion, the anxiety attack scene, like the skates like breaking and like snow flurrying, and
I think this film might look better than Inside Out 2.
oh gosh, we're just on completely different wavelengths, aren't we? Uh-oh. I think a nice summary to that conversation is, hey, Pixar, you're doing a good job.
Yeah.
Some of us enjoy your incremental results. Some of us don't. But some of us also appreciate what you're doing, but just prefer you when you make bigger leaps. That's coming from the man who hasn't seen Soul.
Yeah, that's why I excluded that from my viewpoint.
Okay, so from Toy Story 4,
Yeah.
you got Toy Story 4, then you got Onward. Onward, Pixar style, house style, maybe what you would call
Onward's a little bit back, like, a little bit of a step backwards from
Toy Story 4. Soul,
Leap,
Luca.
Also, Soul, the reaction to Spider-Verse.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
But also the story lends itself to that.
In Soul.
Yeah, in parts. Yes.
And then Luca.
And then you had the Doug Days show that they made. And then I liked it, but like Turning Red.
Turning Red's one of those ones that I think probably just looked fine.
I think it looks really good. But it's stylistic. It is still in that Pixar style, but it's also very stylistic.
How?
In like a 2000s-y way.
That's more of like, that's like how you dress a set though, right? That's like still having all the building blocks of the animation, but like being like...
It feels more twee, like the animation, like poppy. Also the hair physics.
What are the hair physics in that? Fluffy?
Yeah. When you compare that to like Sully, talking about leaps in animation, the hair physics.
Yes. Well, that's steps.
Sorry, not a fan of incremental. Then you have Lightyear, which okay. Then Elemental, which you can say whatever you want about the quality of that movie. That is a leap in animation. Textures playing about with each other.
Yeah, the water and the fire.
And come on, now it's different animation styles, like blending.
It's definitely a departure.
You're a hard man to please, or Inside It 2, win or lose, and then this.
Yeah.
I look. In my opinion, I still think they're better than the majority of stuff that's out there. But
yeah, the majority.
Yeah, what other studios do you think are making better animation?
I think DreamWorks does a very good job.
Don't you dare! No.
I think they do.
No, the Wild Robot's great.
I think there's this weird glaze over Pixar that comes from the glory days.
I
think it's like this weird nostalgia for Pixar.
Also, what we're missing half the conversation because they also make incredible stories.
Yes.
Where other studios fail to do that a lot of the time.
Which I also think they get a lot of credit for.
And as they should.
From the glory days.
Oh, you're pissing me off. Okay, DreamWorks. No. What they came out with something recently, no? Not the Wild Robot. Something recently.
Yeah, you already named it, I think. The one that you were upset at.
Kung Fu Panda 4.
Yeah.
No. And you're telling me that looks better than this?
I've not seen Kung Fu Panda 4. I'm not arguing for Kung Fu Panda 4.
But you're saying like, oh, I think they're producing better outputs than Pixar.
I say a lot of their animation is on par with Pixar. I remember seeing How to Train Your Dragon 3 and thinking it looked incredible.
Oh, okay. Name the one thing that I haven't seen.
Puss in Boots I'm not allowed to choose because it's too stylized.
Oh, I knew there was. Okay. Do you want to hear how many did I read out for Pixar? I read it 10 minus 2 shows. I read it 8. Do you want to hear their last 8? Oh, you got the live action How to Train Your Dragon if we're counting that as animation.
I don't know if we are.
Okay, so you got The Bad Guys.
Right.
Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Ruby Gillman Teenager.
I don't know any.
Sorry.
I don't know half of these films.
Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken. Trolls Band Together. Orion in the Dark. Actually quite a pretty movie. Kung Fu Panda 4. The Wild Robot and Dogman. Dogman was what I was trying to think of.
All excellent films.
Oh.
So is the thing you're looking for like more consistency across the board, or
Well, what are you trying to argue that like
where
there's
they can hit
better
quality
output?
wise?
And do you think DreamWorks has had better output then compared to the 8 that we read for Pixar? I swear to God, if you said
when
yes.
you're saying output, what do you mean by output?
Well, we can decompose it if you want.
Actually, what do you mean? Because I don't know if you're talking about consistency or just a level that they can hit.
But what do you mean when you're saying I think DreamWorks is better?
Say there's a bar that they can hit, and Pixar's hit that bar. If DreamWorks can hit that bar, are they on par? That's a genuine question.
So you're doing it on like a variable scale.
What do you mean variable?
So like Pixar have made great movies before. You've set a bar higher for them compared to DreamWorks.
No. I'm asking if Pixar like jump and hit the wall and you draw a piece of chalk there, and DreamWorks comes along, jumps and hits the same spot, and you draw the same piece of chalk. They both hit the same point of quality.
So you're just saying
are we just
there's
looking
been
for that,
one movie?
Are you looking for consistency?
But you made the point. You went, I think DreamWorks has had better output than Pixar. Yeah? Recently.
I never said the words output. You keep coming up with
what did you say?
I don't think Pixar are all that good, and I think DreamWorks puts out stuff that can be as good as Pixar. So I think the How to Train Your Dragon movies and the same time scale. But now you're
just talking about...
I think Shrek and the same time scale probably also looked as good as the stuff that Pixar are putting out. Maybe not one.
Wait, now you're just expanding to everything a studio's ever made.
What's your point?
Oh, so your point is just saying, oh, I think DreamWorks is better than Pixar just as a studio.
You keep wanting DreamWorks to be better.
No, that's what you said though, no?
I don't necessarily know if I said the words better. I think you want me to say the words better so that you can argue a point that Pixar's better.
I mean, I guess I'll hear back when I edit this whether you said better. Well, what are you trying to say? This has turned into something fun.
That I think the quality of Pixar isn't as good as everyone makes it out to be compared to other animation studios.
Right, okay.
I think other animation studios are still able to hit the bar that Pixar are able to hit.
Oh, so you're just saying they're all level?
Pretty much, yeah.
That's not interesting, is it? I still disagree. I still think Pixar's in its own league, but that's fair enough. I just think there is a consistency with Pixar that's not there in other studios.
I think you can argue that point. Unfortunately, I think I'm not going to say consistency. I'm going to say a higher consistency, because I don't think Pixar have been consistent in recent years. I just think compared to other studios, they'd be more consistent.
Fair. In the last 8 movies, though, I think there was 2 duds.
What are the last 8? Elementals.
Toy Story. Oh, sorry, not including Elio.
Elementals is a dud.
Elementals a dud and Lightyear's a dud.
And the rest of them are
good.
No, what are the films?
Oh, Onward Soul, Luca, Turning Red, Inside Out 2, and Elio.
Onward's not great.
Oh, you can piss right off with that.
Onward's not great.
Yes, it's great.
It's fine.
No, it's great. The story didn't touch you.
It's fine.
No, it's great.
Yeah, I think you're a real Pixar head, and I'm not.
I am, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Here. No, there's not, but I don't think I'm going to be able to convince you of much.
No, what do you mean convince? This is a discussion.
Yes, it is a discussion, but I feel like you have you're firmly placed on the Pixar hill.
Because I don't think any other studio has, and I really enjoy animation. Mm-hmm. I don't think any other studio is coming close to this. The only other studio is like, whatchamacallit, Spider-Verse. They made like
Sony people.
Thank you. Spider-Verse movies. They've recently become really interesting. Mm-hmm. They made both Spider-Verse movies and Mitchell's vs. the Machines, which is a phenomenal movie. Have you seen it?
I've not actually seen Mitchell's vs. the Machines.
I really like animation.
You said you really like animation.
You also did.
Oh, I said I had an area that I'm really interested in, as well as visual effects.
Oh, you were... Should I just cut all of this? I want to see what else they've made. Can you think? Sony. I don't know if you know.
Sony Animation.
I've got it. Mitchell's vs. the Machines, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatball. But then you've got... This is what I mean. When I look at this, there's a bunch of duds in here. The Smurfs.
Are we talking... So
Peter Rabbit.
So now are we just talking about the quality of the animated film and not the animation?
I would say the exact same thing with the animation there.
What were the two you named?
The Smurfs, Peter Rabbit.
Yeah, probably not great. What does Peter Rabbit even look like?
Hotel Transylvania movies. The Cloudy with a Chance Meatball movies, as much as I love them, I don't think the animation is spectacular in those. Surf's Up, kind of...
I think when 2 came out, it looked really good at the time.
2 came out in 2013.
Yeah.
Was that not the same year as Toy Story 3?
Toy Story 3 was
2010. Yeah, whoops. Yeah, sorry. Well... I don't know how that started.
I think I criticised the animation.
Which you're fair to do.
Yeah, am I?
I mean, you did. I just think that... I just think what they do is impressive. Even if it is incremental.
I will agree that it is impressive. I'm just not always impressed by it.
Huh.
And that's that.
Some people want more. As Addison Rae said, give me more.
I just want them to challenge themselves.
That's an insane thing to say.
I don't think it is.
Challenge yourselves.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna restart. If they did something stylistically different, do you think that's challenging themselves?
Yes.
So just because they're maintaining a house style, animating something from scratch, you don't think that that's challenging enough?
Reanimating from scratch.
Sorry, I said I didn't mean to. Like animating something from scratch. Yes, they've got a house style, but like they're still animating it from nothing.
That's very true, but I think animating in a different style is more work than animating from nothing with the style you've already established.
But there are slight variations. There will be a discussion on style.
Yeah, there are, yeah.
You've been in the room. We did talk about it. I was all for... Make this look like Elemental, please. Can the auntie be on fire and the nephew be water?
This is a studio that's decided that they're going to make pretty consistent sequels for a little while.
Oh, yeah. Their decisions lately, going forward?
So,
yeah.
If you took away those sequels and instead had whatever films are in between being their house style, and in place of the sequels being another half of the studio doing challenging new work, I think that would be very interesting.
Maybe they don't want to because people are criticising the incremental increases of their original stories.
I could see you sitting there waiting to say that. Did you listen to a single thing I said?
I did. I honestly, not to be like a shill for fucking Pixar, because I think their decision to focus on sequels is purely money motivated. It leans into what you're saying. There's less of... I don't like the word challenge because I think that that's reductive to the art of making any film. I think all films are challenging to make. I don't like that word.
Yeah, I don't think it is reductive. I think it's just a way of expressing pushing the boat out more. Because something can be challenging and you can still challenge yourself more. I think it's allowed to ask that of a company that makes a fucking ton of money and already does good work.
Fair.
Yeah.
My point was gonna be that I forgot what my point was gonna be.
Yeah, sorry, I kind of.
It's okay.
You were talking. You didn't want to shell out for Pixar. They're making sequels.
Oh, which plays into your point that I don't like that word challenging, but will play into the fact that because they're making sequels, it will be an already not necessarily house style, but the universe style of that. Yep. So it's less, in your words, can't think of a better word, challenging, because you have a base to go from. I guess actually it is less challenging in that case because there are character models that have been drawn up
Yeah,
already.
probably. I do imagine they would still have to do a fucking ton of work on that.
I agree.
I also one of those people because I am a little bit shitting over like sequels and stuff there. Didn't hate Incredibles 2. I
didn't either.
That does get a lot of hate.
And the one thing I said, like when we watched this, is I would happily take a sequel to this.
Yeah, and I kind of support that. I didn't come away being like I need a sequel.
No,
to this,
neither.
But I think they left it open enough for it to have a sequel.
I think they built a cool world as well.
Yeah, something they could explore, as long as they put the time and work into that.
And challenge yourselves.
I'm only saying that because top of mind for some reason is Wreck-It Ralph 2.
Oh.
Which I haven't seen, but I could tell from the trailers that it was just like, Wreck-It Ralph's in the digital world now.
But that's Disney. That's a different studio. Whose actually output recently has been pretty good. Animated. Not the live action shit.
Yeah.
I am just, I think I'm a little higher on this as well because it is an original story and it feels refreshing and it's something new, even if it is playing into tropes. I thought the way that they wrote those tropes were lovely, and I don't think something being tropey is inherently bad.
Neither, as long as it's not like too many. Not that I'm saying there was in this film.
No, yeah.
But as soon as you start layering them on, then it gets a bit like tiresome.
Yeah.
And I think there were a few in this film, but it was the payoff that paid off. So we tied them up in the end.
Well, yeah, you can have cliches, but if you do them well, it's like I don't mind watching that cliche. And also, it's the same sort of thing of, it's the argument of live action remakes where it's like, stay with me here.
I'm staying with you.
Where they're like, well, this is a kid's first experience of this story. Hey, how about taking the themes and ideas of that movie, making something wholly original, so that they can absorb those themes in a different way. Yeah. But also, there's an animated movie that they could go back to. Like, I did think the themes of loneliness to this were quite unique. Mm-hmm. I can't think of another Pixar. Finding Dory? Finding Nemo, I guess. That's similar. To like, thematically, to this.
Having family that are died and being adopted?
But no. I meant more the like grander themes of like loneliness and feeling out of place.
Sure, but a lot of that comes from his family have passed away.
See, but then that's like every Disney movie.
Yeah.
Frozen.
Yeah. But that is the cliche, and then they handle it in a certain way.
Exactly. They explore themes in a different route and whatever. And I find that way more interesting than sitting and watching something I've already seen. Yeah. We went all over the map.
Yeah.
Anything more to say about the film?
Go watch it, actually. Go see it.
Yeah. To be clear, you're not... I don't know.
No, I'm not negative.
I don't know how that conversation is going to play.
Yeah, no, I like this film.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the times, like, when either we were critical... Actually, specifically me, because I've heard people say to me things before... like, oh, I didn't think you liked that, and I think it's because a lot of the time when you do get granular in discussion about things, then you start talking about negatives and comparing things a lot, and then suddenly it gets away from the positives of the thing that you've just experienced.
Yeah.
No, I did like this film, and I think it really became more powerful for me, in the third act, and it is something that I'd recommend people go see. Especially if you've got kids. Fuck me. If you've had all the options of the films this year to take a child to, it's this one that you should bring them to.
Can you imagine try this being their like first animated movie?
Yeah, that was every time I was thinking about cliches and things in the film, that was the thing I reminded myself of. Because the other films that we've seen, which were live action remakes that were abhorrent, still had people that were enjoying them. Like, I could hear kids in the audience enjoying it, and I always thought that was wonderful, and it is. But this film specifically has that with actual layers to it too, where a
Yep.
child can learn from it. So yeah, go take a kid to see this.
I adored this. Probably top half Pixar for me. But as we've learned in our discussion, I'm a shill for them. So I'm gonna own it. I enjoy their movies. Fuck me. Onward is a good movie.
I also enjoy their films.
Wait, no one's saying you don't.
I know, but
I apparently
need,
just like...
No, I just need to get that across.
What a great way to prove it, Owen, with a this or that. Oh,
great, cool.
Segue. We're gonna do a little this or that with Elio and some more Pixar movies. How many Pixar movies should we do? 20.
Yeah, that's the number that came to that. 10's too quick, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Are you going to do your top 20 or something?
No, I'm going to just
I'm fine with that.
mix
That's
it
what I
up.
want to do.
No.
Okay.
This or that, Owen. I was really going to cock up what I was going to say, so I'm going to restart. This or that, Owen. Pixar movies. Cars or Cars 3?
I've only seen Cars. So Cars.
Oh. Cars or Brave?
Cars.
Cars or Monsters University?
Cars.
Cars or Finding Dory?
Cars. Not seen Finding Dory.
Cars or Toy Story 2?
Cars.
Cars or Incredibles 2?
Cars.
Cars or Luca?
Luca.
Luca or Turning Red?
Luca.
Luca or Monsters Inc?
Monsters Inc.
Monsters Inc or Finding Nemo?
Monsters Inc.
Monsters Inc or Onward?
Monsters Inc.
Monsters Inc or Toy Story 3?
Toy Story 3.
Toy Story 3 or Ratatouille?
Toy Story 3.
Toy Story 3 or Elio?
Toy Story 3.
Toy Story 3 or Up?
Toy Story 3.
Toy Story 3 or Wall-E?
I'm going to say Toy Story 3.
Toy Story 3 or Inside Out?
Toy Story 3.
Nice.
Yeah.
You're a Toy Story 3 man.
Yeah. I guess I am.
What is your favourite Pixar movie?
I don't know. But from that, it's Toy Story 3.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't really leave out some of my personal top ones.
I really like Incredibles.
Yeah, and you said Toy Story 3 over it. Oh no, I didn't ask you the Incredibles.
Yeah, you only said 2.
Whoops.
Yeah.
So you picked the Incredibles over Toy Story 3?
Maybe. I'm also wondering if I would have picked some of them over Toy Story 3, but I was just like...
In the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on a roll.
That's fun. Do you know what your top 3 are? Like,
I've not got a clue. I'll come back to you.
The people are waiting.
Wall-E's very good.
Yeah.
Up, I think, is really good as well, but it's one that I don't think I appreciated at the time when I was watching. A lot of these I don't think I appreciated at the time when I was watching them as a child.
Maybe somebody should rewatch them and check their mouth about Pixar.
None of these ones I was thinking about when I was having this conversation.
Oh, really?
Because what
were you thinking of?
That's like the golden age of Pixar, and I'm talking about the last like 10 years of Pixar. When I'm talking about them trying to keep up, or not keep up, sorry, stay ahead. They don't have to keep up.
Okay, prior to Spider-Verse, would you have still said what you've said?
I think yes, because How to Train Your Dragon... Wait, no, hang on. How to Train Your Dragon 3 came out in... I think that was 2019. I don't know, because that and Toy Story 4 came out. And I think Toy Story 4 looks better.
Because what? How to Train Your Dragon 3?
Yeah, I think that looks better than How to Train Your Dragon 3. But I actually think before... It's weird, yes and no, because I don't think Onward looks that good. Especially compared to like Toy Story 4. And I'd probably place How to Train Your Dragon 3 somewhere in between those two. So like I think that's what I'm talking about with this like period of time where yes, Pixar pushes the boat out, but sometimes it doesn't always feel like it's that far ahead, and there's other things that kind of go across that line, and it's just this weird wrestle that I think's happening.
I think I'm in agreement with what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think, or loop-de-looped, come back to it.
Yeah.
I think, in my head, you can tell me if this is wrong or whatever, but like Pixar was this like front runner in animation for so long, and like kind of what you're saying, that golden age, they were this like boundary breaking like studio, and slowly but surely other studios have caught up to them, where it is more like a distributed race between different studios.
Yeah, I think Pixar maybe treated it like a sprint, and it's more of a marathon.
But then also, they've like sprinted ahead, which has caused other studios to up their game.
Very true, and I also don't know how far you can keep ahead when it comes to this stage that we're at in animation.
Yeah, I honestly think that's why I appreciate the little incremental stuff, because it is like, well, you're not going to always boundary push, you know?
I do think you always feel like that until someone does it.
Sure, yes, I do remember watching Spider-Verse, and I'm in complete agreement where watching that and being like, oh my god, this is what animation can be. I mean, that was the discussion, I feel like, around like award season and stuff.
Yeah.
People are like, how was that not nominated? Or the discussions that are always brought up about animation being not like properly received by adults and stuff. Like, that conversation restarted because of that movie, which I feel like is indicative of the jolt it gave to animation. So I do think I agree with you in that regard. I think it'd be interesting to see if Pixar does something soon, which apparently their next... I've only seen one image and I've seen like a little statement attached to it, like they're changing up and they're doing something dramatically different. But it'll be interesting to see what the next version of that is. My brain's going funny because we were talking about like sequels and then staying to house style, and they don't really need to like... Or sorry, that universe style, they don't need to iterate on it as much. I would firmly say that Across the Spider-Verse is a wild leap from into. And that is this universe style or whatever. But they have like pushed the boundaries with that so much.
I also don't think I agree with that.
What? No!
But
different universes?
Yeah, like that in my mind is the stylistic thing, the point that you were making.
Of universe.
The different styles, but it's still like, it's the same animation, but then whenever they would go to a different universe, there was a different style with the same animation, aside from Lego.
Owen just wants Lego in his animation movies, please.
That was really impressive. That was like a 14-year-old kid in Blender, so...
It was.
Yeah.
Question time. I have the question this week. Haha.
Scary.
Okay, the question is, first movie you remember, and what movie defined your childhood / influenced who you are today?
The first film I remember?
Yeah. Do you have an answer for this? I do.
I don't think I do have an answer for this.
First film I saw in the cinema, which first film I remember, was Brother Bear. Love that movie.
You remember that experience?
Yeah.
What age were you?
Vaguely. 3.
That's mental, because I think the first film I saw in the cinema was like Incredibles or Finding Nemo or something. Was either one of those two or Mulan?
Oh, and
is Mulan like 90s?
Yeah, I think Mulan's 90s. No.
Never mind, one of those two.
Oh, no. Maybe I'm wrong.
Whatever it was,
yeah.
My mum knows, but I don't remember it.
Okay. Stellar answer. What movie influenced who you are today, like defined your childhood? I could say Finding Nemo I was absolutely obsessed with as a child. Like, I had this big massive inflatable chair that was Finding Nemo themed that I would walk around with. There's multiple photos of me with I'm carrying a chair wherever I go.
What's the question?
The first movie you saw and a movie that influenced your a movie that defined your childhood influenced who you are today.
Okay, that second question is two questions.
I know, it's yes, yeah, they're completely different.
Yeah,
but define my childhood, I would say Finding Nemo.
Great.
Oh, you were like, how did that influence who you are today?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
It's funny. I had a massive Finding Nemo puzzle that was honestly it was like 12 parts. Because it's a child's puzzle.
It's just like bang.
Yeah. The size of your palm.
Yeah,
a puzzle piece. That was my grand's house. I wonder if she still got that, actually. That'd be funny if it was just like sitting in the garage somewhere. I could bring over the Finding Nemo puzzle.
Well, I have a tragic story. I couldn't sit in my Finding Nemo chair because it burst.
Oh, that's really sad.
It was a sad day.
I don't know what defined my childhood in terms of films.
Mm. Oh, I couldn't. Surely there's multiple that you can name.
I think there's a lot of like TV shows. Obviously, Doctor Who. I had like a Power Rangers phase.
Oh.
Pokemon. Pirates of the Caribbean is a film franchise that I think I had like a lot of like shit from. Maybe Pirates of the Caribbean.
I did think about that as being one of mine.
Yeah, like I said, I had Finding Nemo stuff. I definitely had Incredibles stuff, like little action figures and things. I don't think there was one thing that was like, this is who I am from a film.
Yeah.
I definitely think like Back to the Future is a very special place in my heart, and I probably got shown that when I was like 10. And I do love sci-fi.
What, sorry?
I got shown Back to the Future when I was like 10.
Oh. No, I heard Delirium. Sorry.
And I do think maybe that defined like a taste in film for me. Or
80s.
80s, sci-fi, a bit of quirkiness. I think a lot of films are missing like quirk. Do you know, like things take themselves very seriously nowadays, I think.
Yeah.
And like the 80s era has a lot of just, it's like goofy, fun family style stuff that you don't see as much, except for an animation.
Yeah.
Something that defined who I am today. You have an answer for that too?
No. I think of like movies I've watched recently that I'm like, oh, I see myself in that, but nothing that's like influenced me to be who I am.
Yeah, I don't know if I have an answer for that either, to be honest.
I don't know. There's probably like some film characters that have influenced like.
Oh, I have an answer, sort of. I adore film, as do you, and the person that probably caused that is like Christopher Nolan, which is such a film bro-y kind of answer.
Ew.
But, yeah, I know, but it is one of those things where you're like probably like a teenager, and someone makes a film at that skill, with like interesting ideas in it, and it's live action, so there's like a realism to it, and it just kind of blows your mind. One of your favorite films, Interstellar, just kind of makes you go like, that's what a film can be.
Yeah.
And so, that probably caused a lot of that. God, my granddad used to take me to see a lot of films, so maybe if I was to put it down to a person, it would be him. And
that's nice.
Possibly a lot of the Harry Potter franchise. I remember seeing that finale.
Oh.
That actually it could be Harry Potter, in terms of childhood, defining a lot of my childhood.
Oh, I could steal that. I don't think it influenced who I am as a person, but
I don't think so either.
I'm not here going like wizard wand.
Yeah.
Gosh, I really can't think of something that's like the Lego Movie.
Wow, everything's awesome.
Yeah, and also I feel like I just give fucking the energy of the Lego Movie. Take from that what you will. I don't know. Yeah.
Do you not have anything?
Oh, Scott Pilgrim. I feel like.
Do you think they gave you like?
It was very.
Like, in what way have these things influenced you?
Oh, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I feel like in a similar sense to like taste and stuff. And,
yeah.
That was a big one. Again, a lot of Pixar movies.
I think in terms of very young childhood, Pixar had a big impact for me.
Yeah, I could like influence who I am today. I could actually say Pixar,
which I think takes us back to the point of if you have a child, take them to see Elio.
Yeah. There's just a magic about that studio to me of like blending emotion and heart and like that thematic storytelling with like laughter and like childlike wonder that I don't think many other studios have a like creative control over as or much of a creative grasp as Pixar. They've got a whole method. Is it not called the Pixar method?
Yeah, does it not feel formulaic to you at all at this point?
A little, but then isn't most blockbusters are like most things in the cinema are. It's kind of something that's like, you know, there's going to be a 3-act structure.
That's true. I just think when it comes to Pixar, which is a studio that is known for so much charm and heart, and for it to have a formula detracts from that in some way.
I don't know. I also don't think their stuff's entirely formulaic. I think this, speaking about this movie, this is a little formulaic, but like, I don't think that's inherently bad. If you're good with the formula, you're good with the formula.
I mean, Toy Story 4, which is one that I will always say I don't think was necessary, but I liked it. I don't think is necessarily formulaic. It very much feels like an epilogue to, which is so funny because it's Toy Story 5 coming out, but it very much feels like this little thing on the end.
I'm so curious about that movie.
Yeah.
Because I know nobody agrees with me on this. Made a video essay about it. I have comments in there telling me nobody agrees with me. But I think Toy Story 4 is a perfect ending to that franchise because the franchise starts with Woody, and Toy Story 4 Toy Story 3 is this combination of all these characters, and as you say, it's kind of epilogue-y where they go, but the guy who started this, like, let's just dial right in on him as a character, and it's just Woody's story, and I think it's gorgeous. They could have called it Woody. Maybe not.
It might have been better. It might have summed up what the film was more.
I think that's maybe why people had such a hard time with it, is because it doesn't feel like Toy Story.
I think it's also one of those things where Toy Story 3 feels like it's rounded up and we've given all these toys and it's like a passing of the torch. And then Toy Story 4 comes in and goes like, we're not going to do that bit.
I completely understand why people feel that way. It's not a thing where I'm like, people are wrong and I'm right.
No, but you make the points to like, this is why it's a solid film.
Yeah, hey, I know it could have been so much worse. It could have been a cash grab. Could have just been a pointless story. But I actually think the perspective that they took with it is really wonderful. It's why I'm so interested to see this next one, if they maintain that, or if that was just a random stroke of genius that somebody came up with.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? Can't think of a segue. That was a great episode of Plot to Go.
Focused a lot on animation, actually.
Yeah. I hope there was that was a fun discussion around.
I do wonder how many circles we went in.
Probably a lot. But that's discussion, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose. That's what it looks like in real life.
If you think that we went around in circles, and because I feel we did end up on us going, yeah, I kind of agree with you.
Yeah.
There's 30 minutes of getting there. But life's a journey. It's not always about the destination. So join us next week when we talk about fast cars. Vroom Vroom is F1 the movie. Get hyped. Shockingly, I mean, again, you pointed this out to me earlier, but because America kind of gets stuff before, and also influencers go to these press screenings, there's often reactions to the movie when we're talking about we're going to see it next week, but they're just short reactions. It's not a review. And I said, what did I say this? Oh, Jurassic World. I said the same thing. I'm like,
shockingly good
reviews. F1 has had the same reactions of wow. Who knows? I guess we'll find out next week. I'm very excited to see that in IMAX though. I think
it'll be an experience.
Action will be balls to the wall. Tate McRae blasting through those IMAX speakers. Yeah, baby. And we also will be talking about something else.
Do we revisit our
Shit. We'll probably do that. We'll
whatever that thing's called.
We'll do our fantasy draft. We'll
do
a check-in because it's kind of halfway through now. So we'll do a check-in with that.
We are halfway through the year.
We are.
This
that's
is 26.
That is
on.
Crazy, isn't it? I don't think we're going to talk about something beautiful, even though the pair of us will be seeing it maybe.
Okay.
maybe we will. The only other thing is we might cover Ironheart because that airs next week.
Can't wait.
Yay! And it is airing. I don't know if I spoke to you about this ages ago, but it's airing in 3 episodes.
Great.
Like an Andor.
What day does that come out?
Wednesday.
I know what I'm doing my Wednesday evening.
I imagine they're like 30-minute. And I imagine I'm remaining hopeful because I like the people involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine it's kind of shit though if they're just we had this line around since 2022 and we're dumping it in 2 weeks.
Oh.
But then, and they didn't market it, but people obviously said that could have been. It is on buses.
I've seen it on buses.
Oh my god! How many other Disney Plus shows have you seen on the bus?
God, Loki was probably up there.
Yeah.
Surely WandaVision was up there.
Yeah, but pandemic-y.
I think other shows have been up there.
Like recent shows?
I don't know about recently. I don't remember ever seeing Moon Knight on a bus.
Daredevil was.
Oh, there you go.
Was Echo?
Maybe?
Oh. I'm sorry. Involuntary reaction. So join us next week for a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Less animation talk.
Unfortunately.
That's fun.
Mm-hmm.
See you next week, sir.
My hands are so sweaty.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah.
I literally want out of this room.
Yeah, I feel disgusted.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.